It feels like the dawn of a new era in Hollywood. The box office is being dominated by a 20-year-old director. Kane Parsons' film Backrooms is based on the popular creepypasta and Parsons' own YouTube horror shorts. How does a feature film from a 20-year-old director actually hold up, though? Stick around as I talk about why The Backrooms is 2/3 of a great horror movie. The story follows Clark, a depressed furniture store owner who was recently divorced and turned to alcoholism. One night while sleeping in his store, he notices a glowing outline on a wall. He realizes it's an entrance to the backrooms, an endless maze of yellow rooms and hallways that seemingly go on forever. After being chased out by something big, he tells his therapist Mary of his discovery.
I'm not saying I don't believe you.
Okay, I'm gonna come back here with proof.
After being hurt by her not believing him, he and a couple of his employees go back into the backrooms to record it and prove its existence. It goes about as well as you'd expect. The look of the backrooms itself is impressive. Who knew that a labyrinth of piss-colored rooms could be so creepy? It's like your nightmares imprint on the backrooms when you enter. Everything inside of it, including the people and the creatures there, is like a twisted copy of a person's life.
Oh my god. Pull me up, pull me up, pull me up! What do you see?
Chiwetel Ejiofor plays Clark. I think some of the best and scariest parts of the movie are him exploring the backrooms alone, even though it's just one person on screen by himself most of the time. Because you know he's not alone in there. You can hear noises in the distance, music, voices, and footsteps, but you aren't sure where they are or how far away they are.
Anyone there?
During these scenes, he doesn't say much, but you can tell through his body language that he's getting increasingly unnerved as he goes further in. He knows he should leave. It's dangerous, but he's an architect, and he can't help but be fascinated by this place that defies reality. The scenes in the backrooms are filled with tension because of just how big and similar everything is. It feels like you could get lost so easily and never find your way out.
Look, I know how this sounds, but you gotta understand, it's massive in there.
When Clark started exploring, I started to mentally keep track of every turn he took, because the idea of him getting lost in there made me anxious. Chiwetel Ejiofor carries the film, and I'm not sure the movie could have worked without his performance. Even though I'm not even sure if the movie wanted us to like Clark as a character, but Chiwetel gave such a good performance I couldn't help but empathize with him. He's an alcoholic, disappointed with his life, and he can't move on from his divorce. But it feels like he genuinely got screwed over. He's a guy who gave up his hopes and dreams to a wife that kicked him out, and he can't let go of his anger over it. It seemed like the film wasn't sure who it wanted its main character to be. For the first 2 acts, it's Clark driving the story. He's investigating the backrooms, trying to understand it and mapping it. But in the 3rd act, Clark goes missing, so the narrative switches to his therapist Mary, who enters the backrooms to try and find him. Like Clark, Mary has her own trauma she's dealing with, because every movie must be about trauma now. Because apparently everyone is struggling with trauma, whether it's PTSD from when someone attacked you 40 years ago, or a fear of bees.
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes!
When I was a kid and you had trauma, you did the smart thing and you buried it. And that's why I don't have any problems. I only huff Freon for fun, and I can quit anytime I want. Anyway, as a child, Mary lived with her mentally disturbed mother who kept her locked in a dilapidated, condemned house. Her mother wound up being committed afterwards, and even though it's a traumatic memory, she keeps a piece of gravel from the driveway in her pocket as a keepsake. When the narrative switches to Mary is when the movie begins to fall apart, in my opinion. After spending most of the film following Clark, why are we supposed to care about his therapist, who, up until this point, has only sporadically appeared in the movie? The therapy scenes with Mary are the most boring parts of the movie, so it's a surprise to me that the movie decided to follow her character. When Mary finally finds Clark, he chokes her unconscious and ties her up. Turns out he's completely lost his mind in the backrooms, and is actually the villain of the movie. But Clark's turn just doesn't feel earned. The last time we saw him, he was trying to save his coworkers from an unseen creature in the backrooms, and the next time we see him after that, he's a full-on villain? If the end game is supposed to be Clark becoming a madman, then I would have rather seen the 3rd act follow him as he gets lost in the backrooms and start to mentally deteriorate.
I found a place.
How long was he in there? Does time move differently in the backrooms? The movie spent the first 2 acts showing us Clark's journey. Let's see how he becomes the deranged psycho instead of switching the POV to another character. The movie is also hurt because there's not really a satisfying conclusion. The theme of the story is supposed to be learning to let go of your trauma, but we don't really see any resolution in the characters' arcs. At least not with Mary. Unless her hitting a monster with a piece of driveway is supposed to represent her overcoming her psychological anguish. The filmmakers seem more interested in using the ending to set up a sequel, and as a result, created more questions instead of answers. Especially regarding the nature of Async, the corporation that secretly monitors the Backrooms, and how involved they are with its discovery or creation. Maybe you already know the answer to these questions if you're familiar with Parsons' YouTube shorts or the creepypasta lore, but I'm not. In closing, I almost loved Backrooms. I think the first 2 acts are great and show that Kane Parsons has real talent as a horror director, and it made me interested in seeing more of this universe. But its underwhelming and undeveloped third act is what keeps the movie from greatness. But Kane Parsons' Backrooms feels like the beginning of a new creative chapter in Hollywood. People are sick of endless DC reboots and mediocre Star Wars content, and are hungry for original stories, ones that don't require a $200 million budget and endless CGI. With the recent success of movies like Iron Lung, Obsession, and now Backrooms, it feels like a changing of the guard in movies. There's a group of new and exciting up-and-coming filmmakers who have new stories to tell, and it's making me hot and horny. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out, because if I get enough subscribers, then I won't have to sell myself on the street anymore. Thank you.